Good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Saraya Mia. The police is tracking down more than 2 people in connection to a case of an armed Israeli man who was arrested on March 27. The Inspector General of Police, Tan Sri Readiness Hussain, says there will be able to assist the police in investigating the suspect's real motive for his presence in the country.
It was reported that during interrogations, the suspect claimed he came to Malaysia to assassinate a fellow Israeli over a family dispute. He was in possession of 6 guns and 200 bullets when he was nabbed at a hotel in Jalan Ampang last week and has been remanded until April 7th. 3 Malaysians, including a married couple in their 40s who were suspected of supplying firearms to the Israeli man, have also been remanded until April 5th. Readiness also confirmed that the firearms sold to the man by the couple was smuggled from Thailand, with each one at the price of at least 10,000 ringgit and above.
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has no plans to hold an Aidilfitri celebration at his official residence in Sri Perdana this year. However, he will attend the celebrations organised by the ministries in the states.
Jadi kalau belanja, jimatkan, kirimlah kepada mereka yang lain. Ya, sebab itu saya dah putus untuk sambutan Aidilfitri, saya tidak buat majlis besaran di Sri Perdana. Ya, saya akan ikut beberapa sambutan yang dibuat di negeri oleh kementerian-kementerian. Seperti mana Ramadan, ya, sambutan Ramadan, ada kementerian menerajui program dan saya hadir, jadi tidak menokok belanja kalau dibuat besar-besaran sangat di Sri Perdana.
Anwar, who is also the Minister of Finance, said the government is taking frugal measures and wants the action to be emulated by other government agencies. He called on all agencies and ministries, especially the Ministry of Finance, not to boast about holding the Aidilfitri celebrations.
Those who have registered with the central database hub PADU can update any incomplete information, even though the registration deadline passed last Sunday. Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Muhammad Uzair Mahidin says that the deadline for registering with PADU remained last Sunday.
He added that data on Malaysians will always be at hand thanks to PADU and allow the government to conduct an accurate analysis on those who qualify for benefits. Uzair said the data in the system will allow the government to look closer at issues, including how to analyse so that the aid pattern will be more comprehensive. He added that everyone needed to be confident that data was a vital tool in spurring the country forward and everyone's support and cooperation was needed to make it happen. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli had earlier announced that 17.65 million, or 58.7% of the country's population, including household members under 18, have been updated into the PADU system.
Tabung Haji has announced 3.1% profit distribution after zakat for the 2023 financial year. Religious Affairs Minister Datuk Muhammad An-Naim Mukhtar says the distribution of 2.7 billion ringgit will benefit more than 9 million depositors.
Muhammad Naim said the profit for 2023 was based on the audited financial statements and after considering the impairment in the value of investment properties in Saudi Arabia and the UK. He also announced that Tabung Haji would pay 101 million ringgit in zakat to all state Islamic religious councils on behalf of depositors for last year.
KH berharap dengan pelunasan zakat ini secara langsung atau tidak langsung dapat membantu usaha kerajaan menutahkan kemiskinan tegal di seluruh negara. Dengan pelunasan zakat ini, pendeposit tidak perlu lagi membayar zakat ke atas wang simpanan serta agihan keuntungan yang diterima.
The Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry has listed 22 items under the Festive Season Maximum Price Scheme (SHMMP) for Hari Raya Aidilfitri. According to its minister, Datuk Armizan Muhammad Ali, the scheme will be implemented for 15 days from April 5th to 19th.
Items include local beef except for tenderloin, imported beef, imported buffalo meat, ikan kembung, ikan selayang, ikan tongkol and ikan demudo. Others are tomatoes, red chilies, imported round cabbage, long beans, cucumbers, mustard leaf, imported old ginger, imported shallots, yellow onions, Chinese garlic, Indian red shallots, imported potatoes, dried chili, peanuts, coconuts and grated coconut. He said that as HMMP is enforced under the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Act 2011, which allows price determination at the producer, wholesaler and retailer levels. Arimizan said that KPDN enforcement officers nationwide would carry out inspections and monitoring at public markets, farmers markets and shopping centres to ensure prices aren't manipulated.
On to sports news. National squash queen S. Sivasangari made history after emerging as the champion of the inaugural edition of the London Classic Squash. She knocked out world number 2 Hania El Hamami of Egypt during the final stage.
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim congratulated Sivasangari for her triumph on his Facebook account. He also noted that Sivasangari became the first Malaysian player to advance to the gold standard final in the PSA World Tour after former national squash queen Datuk Nicole David did so in 2015. It was Sivasangari's second win over El Hamami in 6 meetings. The 2022 Asian Games champion, however, had to sweat before creating a surprise 3-2 result over her opponent at the event held at Alexandra Palace, London.
We'll take a short break. Stay tuned for more.
Daulat Tuanku.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini. Pastikan Astro AWANI menjadi pilihan anda, tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada.
Welcome back. The United States has expressed readiness to collaborate with Malaysia in transitioning away from coal power towards renewable energy. U.S. Ambassador to Malaysia, Edgard Kagan, describes the government's ambitious yet achievable announcements as a promising foundation for such partnership.
From an American perspective, Malaysia stands out as a place that has a very reliable and stable source of energy. But unfortunately, a lot of that is coal-fired. So I think that what we need to do is first ensure that new production of energy comes from renewables, and I think the U.S. is prepared to partner with Malaysia in areas to do that. Now, I think it's worth noting that this is something that ultimately Malaysia needs to make decisions on, and we're very impressed by the government's announcements with regard to renewable energy. We think they're ambitious, but they're doable, and I think that it creates the right framework to send signals. And one thing that we hear from American companies, but also from other multinational companies, is that they are looking for renewable energy as they make investment decisions, because they're very aware of the fact that they're increasingly judged on their own ability to decarbonize their production and their supply chain.
Last April, the Minister of Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change, Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad, revealed Malaysia's discussion with wealthier nations, aiming to emulate neighbours Indonesia and Vietnam in transitioning towards renewable energy. Despite relying on coal and natural gas for 75% of its power needs, Malaysia lags behind its Southeast Asian counterparts in clean energy expansion. 4 months later, the government launched the National Energy Transition Roadmap, allocating a 2 billion ringgit seed fund as an energy transition facility. As a signatory to the 2015 Paris Treaty, Malaysia is committed to reducing its carbon intensity by 45% of 2005 levels by 2030.
7 employees of the World Central Kitchen, WCK non-governmental organization, were killed in an Israeli airstrike on Gaza. The victims include citizens of Poland, Australia, and Britain, and a dual US-Canadian citizen alongside one Palestinian.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has confirmed that 44-year-old Australian aid worker Zomi Francom was among those killed. He said his government had contacted Israel to demand those responsible be held accountable.
Australia expects full accountability for the deaths of aid workers, which is completely unacceptable. Aid workers and those doing humanitarian work, and indeed all innocent civilians, need to be provided with protection.
According to the World Central Kitchen, despite coordinating its movements with the Israeli Defense Force, the convoy was hit as it left its warehouse in Deir al-Balah after unloading more than 100 tons of humanitarian food aid brought to Gaza by sea. They were traveling in 2 armored cars emblazoned with the charity organization's logo. In response, the Israeli military said that they are conducting a comprehensive review at the highest levels to understand the circumstances surrounding what they describe as a tragic incident. The World Central Kitchen delivers food relief and prepares meals for people in need. It said last month it had served more than 42 million meals in Gaza over 175 days. The food charity said it will pause its operations and will make a decision about the future of its work soon.
In other news, Japan has announced its decision to lift its suspension of funding to the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency, UNRWA, as the agency works to rebuild trust following allegations that some of its staff were involved in the 7th October attack in Israel. Japan, the agency's 6th largest donor, joined 15 other countries in suspending some $450 million in funding in January, following the Israeli allegations.
Several countries, including Australia and Canada, have already resumed funding to UNRWA, recognizing its crucial role as the main relief agency operating in Gaza, which has been under siege since the attack. Japan's Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa, following her recent meeting with UNRWA chief Philip Lazzarini in Tokyo, reiterated the agency's indispensable role in addressing the Gaza crisis. Kamikawa also stressed the importance of simultaneously strengthening governance and managing risks within UNRWA. She told reporters that some $35 million of the funds originally earmarked were ready to be released.
Discrimination and attacks against Muslims and Palestinians have reached a record high in the United States in 2023, according to data released by an advocacy group. This trend is believed to have been fueled by rising Islamophobia and bias as the Israel-Gaza war raged late in the year.
According to the Council on American Islamic Relations, it received a total of 8,061 complaints in 2023, marking a staggering 56% increase from the previous year. The surge in incidents was particularly notable in the last quarter of the year, with approximately 3,600 incidents reported from October to December. The report highlights several tragic incidents, including the fatal stabbing of 6-year-old Palestinian-American Wadia Al-Fayoum in Illinois, the shooting of 3 students of Palestinian descent in Vermont, and the stabbing of a Palestinian-American man in Texas. Human rights advocates have similarly reported a global rise in Islamophobia, anti-Palestinian bias, and anti-Semitism since the latest eruption of conflict in the Middle East.
That's all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Saraya Mia, and we'll see you again.